safety, and we stand in solidarity with public employers. Let me set a context for why we're here. First, we continue to have to do this because in North Carolina still upholds a Jim Crow law, GS 9598, that makes it illegal for public workers to engage in collective bargaining. It's been on the books more than 50 years too long. It denies public workers a fundamental right. Number two, we have seen this legislature, over the last little bit over a year, engage in some of the most regressive public policy we've ever seen in this state. And one way we've seen it is in extreme cuts for Health and Human Services, extreme cuts to those that care for the mentally ill, the most vulnerable, and extreme cut in the resources for those for those persons who are most vulnerable. In addition to that, you see over 2,000 signatures. Thousands or more are coming of persons who support a bill that has been introduced in the legislature, a mental health bill of rights. And all the workers have asked, they've asked in writing, they've asked by call to speak to this committee. And again, they've been denied, just as we were denied when we wanted to talk to the speaker last year about public policy. These workers should be heard. They should have a right to address their government. They should have a right to voice their concerns. We are deeply concerned, and more than 120 organizations with the historic 1000 on Jones Street and all the NAACP stand in solidarity with these workers, stand in solidarity with those who care for the most vulnerable people in our society. And we wonder and are deeply concerned that a legislative committee refuses to even hear, refuses to even talk with these workers who have legitimate concerns. So we continue to stand with them, we continue to fight for fairness, and we continue to fight for workers' rights throughout North Carolina. It is time for North Carolina to remove this GS 958 law that is regressive, and it is time for North Carolina to listen to its workers and its citizens. These are citizens and workers of this state, and they deserve to be able to have a forum with their leaders and their elected leaders.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have Brother Kevin Yesson, who works at Murdoch Center, speak.
Center at Butler, North Carolina. My reason for being here is simple. We're here to push for change. The same change that our president spoke about, we're here to implement change and to support the Bill of Rights for mental health care workers. It's a shame when you can still go on to one of the units of Murdoch Center and you have only 3 healthcare workers trying to provide services for 16 clients. 16 lovable clients. Some are in wheelchairs, they're suffering from physical and mental disabilities, and all they need is help. But they can't get help if we don't get help. And what we're having a problem with is since 2001, somewhere around 1,179 jobs have been canceled out of the state facility, and 310 of those came since 2010. We find that to be deplorable, and the fact that our own state, this fine state of North Carolina, is in support of that, it puts every individual that we serve at risk, along with our state employees who suffer great injuries. Some of these injuries cost them permanent injuries where they're no longer able to come back to work. So that's why I'm here. I believe God has sent me here for this purpose, just so that we can speak out and speak up about this and be in support of our Bill of Rights for our mental health care workers. Thank you.
President King, I want to make sure the media get a copy of this letter. If you would give it to them, because it outlines how even the work of this UE 150 and the bad policies have cost in the last 18 months.
Provided across any settings, which means we will no longer have a comparability program. Personal care services will remain the same in terms of provision of services. And by that, we mean that the services would look similar across and delivered in the same manner in terms of enhanced or basic services. There's a specific population that presents its own unique challenges, and those are our special care units and adult care homes that actually serve people with dementia or Alzheimer's. We are continuing to work with CMS regarding the best option, but we bring this to your attention because we are very sensitive to that population in terms of needing additional supports and services. One of the questions that the committee sent forward was, what exactly does this mean for providers? So what we've tried to do is actually highlight the provider impact. Regardless of what date the sunset is, if we don't meet the sunset date or correct the comparable IMD, if so, we would be working with the facility to actually look at what it would take to get the facility out of the IMD compliance issue. Our concern here is if the facility is deemed to be an IMD and we need to move the person, what's the available housing options for that person?
0.9 million that's the state's funds, additional funds, as well as 15 million, and you're saying those costs would be, additional costs would be incurred in the upcoming fiscal year, the 2013 fiscal year?
That's correct.
And one other clarification,